Did you know that our graduates have found personal and career success through the military, through the university, straight to the workforce through credentials earned in high school, or just pure grit and opportunity? I'm Tom Livesey, host of the What's Your Future podcast and superintendent here at Oakridge. Our guests have a unique story to tell about their pathway to a successful career, and they will demonstrate how our schools and community partner together to prepare students for their future. Before we get to our first guest, help us tell these stories far and wide by clicking subscribe or liking our videos. And if you're interested in being a guest on the What's Your Future podcast, my email address is whatsyourfuture@oakridgeschools.org. Let's get started. Welcome to the What's Your Future podcast. Carla Kevern is with us today. Welcome, Carla.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. We are so excited. You are the first guest on the What's Your Future podcast, so congratulations on that. Let's get rolling with some of the questions. The easiest one of the day. What year did you graduate?
2015.
2015. Tell us a little bit about what you do here at Oakridge. You happen to be an employee of Oakridge.
Yeah, I do a lot. The main thing what I do is just make sure there's continuity between our tiers, making sure that our students get what they need at tier 1 and supporting teachers and admin in that. And then when there's students that are just needing more help or at risk, I make sure that we have services to meet those needs. And so I kind of make sure that all connects.
All right. So your official title right now is the Director of MTSS, which stands for what?
Multi-tiered systems of support.
All right. And so your job is to help all of the services that we have and different levels of service that they need in partnership with all of our community providers and our staff here online. So that's a little bit of picture. I know we're transitioning to be the Director of Special Ed or Student Services, but I think what our listeners want to hear is to become a Director of MTSS or Director of Special Ed public school system. What's the pathway from 2015 to what you're doing now? And I think you used the word trauma for all the school that you've been through to try to work your way through that. So tell us the story of how you got your degree, and even start into high school, because you got some unique points that happened in high school that prepared you for this path.
Yeah, I want to caution with first, this isn't a typical path of how I got where I am, right?
Yep.
But starting in high school, I started college classes in 2013. And so I kind of went into high school knowing that I wanted to get school over with, which is hilarious because I'm still going to school. But I wanted to make sure that what I did counted. And so I started taking some dual enrollment classes. By the time I graduated, I had an associate's degree and a half of credits, transferred to Western. Got a bachelor's there, 2 minors, one's in addiction studies, one's in religion. And then I went to Wayne State for 3 master level degrees and a PhD and some postdoc certifications. And here I am. I came back.
Awesome. Another unique part of your story. So you were working in private practice, and I think you learned at a young age that you wanted to be in the world of psychology. Tell us about when the interest came and how did you know that you needed to get started in high school to better benefit you financially, and how you're going to be able to afford your college experiences?
Yeah, so first generation college student. I didn't really have a whole lot of role models in terms of how college went. My mom did get an associate's to be like a speech path assistant, so I saw some of that studying, but that was really it, right? So I was kind of coming into this blind. Really got into just academics from the start. I love to learn, but in the upper elementary years, about 4th grade, I really got into reading, and I really got into just how weird people are. I read the book Sybil and those type of things, and I wanted to be a psychiatrist, but I didn't want to go to school that long, which is funny because here I am. And then I don't even know how I came about it, but I just remember in the upper elementary, I think I was in Lisa Laniga's classroom, and I told somebody, like, I'm going to go to college and high school because I just need to get it over with. And I wanted all those credits to count. I really didn't, not just get it over with, but more I wanted to start working, and I wanted to get that life experience and start living life. Yeah. And then, I can tell the story of in middle school, I still worked hard. I took Algebra 1 in 8th grade and did as much advancements as I could there. And then I advocated hard to my school counselors, Robert Patton, and really wanted to dual enroll in high school. I think I was one of the first students because they were very leery of me missing out on the high school experience.
Right.
I will say that I didn't miss out on much. I think by senior year, I was taking one class a day in high school, and I was able to really fulfill what I wanted to do and find interest through doing that dual enrollment. That just helped me keep that drive, right? You find what you're interested in, and then you just want to keep doing it.
So, how many credits did you get in high school, and how much money do you think that saved you by getting those credits for free?
Like 83 credits, I want to say, by the time I graduated high school. You're not supposed to. There's a Michigan law that says you can't get more than an associate's degree. So I strategically didn't take one class that I needed so I could get those, right? Because I knew that I wouldn't be able to afford college otherwise. Like I said, first generation college student. My parents made, not a whole lot of money compared to what you would need to pay for college. And the school would pay. I did have to pay for credits in the summer when I was in high school, and I just worked. I think I spent $500. So totally now I probably saved, if we're translating to inflation, probably $60,000.
Yeah, that's just incredible to have that foresight as a high school kid to be able to get those dual credits. And nowadays we've got early college, we've got the Muskegon Promise, and so there's a lot of different other options that are available to kids nowadays. But have you back in 2015 be able to navigate that to get your associate's degree? That's just an incredible story. So let's go post high school now. In 15, you get back into your master's degree. There's some lived experiences that you have that I think are perhaps not so unique to students in this community, but it was, I know you jokingly use the word trauma, but talk about the financial aspect. Your drive for psychology was clear, but there's always that looming financial aspect of how am I going to afford to get my bachelor's degree? And you now having a PhD, there's a lot of schooling involved in that. So tell what can you help listeners? How do you navigate that financial aspect of college?
Planning early, I think, would be one. So, like growing up, my dad worked all the time. He worked in a shop. He'd come home, he'd either work on someone's car or he'd go build a house, and I would come with him. So, like, just seeing that drive, right? And so I think that helps with just knowing that you're going to have to work for it, and you're going to have to be strategic in this. I knew that I didn't want to have to work every day of my life, and here I am, but I like what I do. And so I think being able to plan, like I said, doing something in high school that will impact later on, because it's all going to be this kind of domino effect. And I think that helps just getting ready from the start, because like I said, I saved $60,000-ish, maybe more, in credits. And so if you're in high school and you're planning on going to college or just going to do something further beyond a high school degree, getting that planning done early and researching what does it take to do that is helpful, and learning how much of that drive you'll need, because that is a barrier we see in kids where, like you said, trauma in a PhD program, it is nose to the grindstone and nonstop, and it is competitive. There's 3-4 people that get into the program out of however many apply. And so just knowing what am I up for, because you have to get to that finish. They will not hire you with half a degree, right? You have to finish that. And also knowing, again, that preparation, because there are careers out there that you might start and get into where they aren't going to be good careers in 10 years when you graduate. And so making sure you're planning that. And then the finance piece, knowing how far you have to go and how much does that cost. And so are you going to work through it? Can you even make enough money to work through it? And then the FAFSA, are you going to apply for that? Can your parents afford to take out a Parent Plus loan? Those type of things. I'll have to
So is the
process.
FAFSA that hard? Is it difficult to fill out that FAFSA? I know our listeners want to hear that because if they haven't done it yet, that's one of those things that nobody looks forward to.
Yep. I think the hardest part is just having all of your information and then sitting down long enough to do it. Yeah.
So it's just a lot of data entry into a computer
Yep.
and a website, and yeah, it's just something that you have to do in order to qualify for some of those funding sources.
Yep. They'll ask for things like taxes, like tax forms. Sometimes they ask for that, or incomes and social security numbers and all of that. And what they're really looking at is how much do they think your parents can contribute to college. Usually they overestimate it. And so I will say, just because you think your parents can't pay for it doesn't mean that you're going to get grants or certain types of loans that you're qualified for, but it does give you something, and it allows you to have an application that you can use when you apply to other scholarships, and the university has their own, and it's just kind of a doorway to getting funding.
Yeah. And so to our listeners, the FAFSA is not that bad. You can do it. See what opportunities there are for you. So speak to that next. So once you got your FAFSA, what types of scholarships and other funding opportunities did you pursue? This might not be the same for everybody, but these are unique to what your situation was.
Yep, I had a funny story. So we showed up at Western my first day for orientation. They thought I was a freshman. And so I had actually applied to all these freshman scholarships. Technically, I was a junior for 2016. So they actually told me I didn't have to be at orientation and I needed to go to a different thing at a later time. So I had to apply for different scholarships because they have scholarships for each year that you're in college. I would say that I got a couple. I mean, I probably got 8 to 10,000, but there's not as many scholarships for students who are not sophomore and freshman year students, at least when I was there. A lot of what I paid, I think right now I have about, I don't know, $36,000 to $40,000 in private loans because my parents weren't going to be able to do a Parent Plus loan. And so when you do that, I would advise the company you pick, you look at their stability over time, and those type of things. The FAFSA did help again with applying for junior and senior scholarships, but there are not as many. So you have to be very strategic in how you plan out your finances as you go through that.
Awesome. I think that's always helpful for our listeners that if they're considering going the college route, we realize it's fully appropriate for people that go through the military or just grit and opportunity and working themselves into a career. You went the university route and you have a lot of schooling, and here you are as director, soon to be director of student services here at Oak Ridge. And the financial aspect is definitely a factor. If I may say, you look to be enjoying your career right now.
I do.
That's awesome. Moving on. So, for students and families listening who might be interested in a similar career path, what advice would you give them? And are there any specific skills or experiences they should focus on developing to pursue something in the world of psychology?
Yeah. I'm going to back all the way up to undergrad. You cannot do much with an undergraduate degree, especially in the world of psychology. I would say, particularly in the world of psychology, because all of your licenses are master's level or higher. So when you go in for a psychology major, for example, in undergrad, you want to make sure, one, you pick a university that has a practicum experience. A lot of them don't. And then you go out into the world and they want you to have experiences that you just didn't get. Another piece of it is you have to go into it knowing that you will go to graduate school. And so when you go into that undergrad, again, picking that practicum, but then also looking for research experiences so that when you apply to graduate schools, you're a competitive candidate. When looking at graduate schools, I would again look and see who has connections with certain practicum experiences. You have to do practicum experiences, but some programs make you do more than others. It's a lot more work, but I would lean on the ones that make you do more than others because you'll be a more well-rounded, I guess you could say, and a better candidate for employment and licensure. Again, psychology, school psychology, you can practice independently in a school with a master's. Every other field of psychology, you have to have a doctorate to be independent. You can practice as a master's, but you have to be supervised. Going in knowing what route you want to take, because by the time you get to doctorate, I mean, we had 200, 300 applicants, and they took 3 or 4 of us the first year. So you really have to stick out. So you have to do research. It's a lot more than just coursework, and you're not going to get paid for most of it, right? So it's, again, a lot of planning, a lot of saving, a lot of being strategic and how you're making those steps and those moves getting into a career.
I appreciate telling that story because our listeners are going to, man, these are, you just don't come off the street and become a director of special ed. There's a
Right.
lot of schooling, there's a lot of financial planning, there's a lot of drive and determination. And we're just thrilled to have you here at Oak Ridge. With being an Oak Ridge graduate, it's super cool to be able to literally walk down the hall and see a number of Oak Ridge graduates serving our kids here in this community. Let's pivot over to, you went through public school, Oakridge Public Schools here, and looking back, what do you think was the most valuable part of having a public school education?
Of just a public school or an Oak Ridge school education?
Oh,
Because
you can
there's a
go into both of
difference, right?
those.
All right.
Absolutely. Go
Okay.
into both of those. Give us a
I
little
would say,
advice.
yeah, a public school education, I would just say the diversity, right? Each teacher has a different style. You have, I mean, you all have to follow the state standards, but each public school has their own different curriculum, and you have students from all walks of life that are coming, right? I think that is helpful because it just opens your eyes to what other people experience. In terms of Oak Ridge Public Schools, I would say our logo used to be students first, right? And I think it still is. We just say it differently, where we have like we're the whole child, but the students come first. And you can see that in our staff. There's a sense of community among staff, there's a sense of friendship among staff, and that can translate down to our students where they feel like this is a place where you do belong. A lot of students are, I think, proud to be an Oakridge graduate because of that. If they've had that sense of what we would call belongingness and connectedness. I have key teachers that I could name that for sure influenced that trajectory and where I was going. If you don't have those influences, you might not be where you are today.
Give those teachers a shout out.
Oh boy. Well, I don't even know if Miss Hall is alive still, but that was my first grade teacher. She was a big one. Miss Rosema, I know I remember her a lot. Obviously, Miss Lanninga, that's like my love for reading bloomed there. I think it's in how she read. She's very animated and she sings a lot. So I think
Yeah, oh
that was
yeah, that's
helpful.
her.
I've had Mr. Lowry. Who else did I mean, Miss Jackie Presson, who was Miss Niebuhr, who is now an employee as our reading interventionist too. So I get to work with her, which is great. I had her 5th and 6th grade. I mean, social studies is my thing, and I think helped some of this drive, which we've talked about before. So Mr. Holmberg, Mr. Wood, as crazy as he is or was, he's an influence that I think helped me a little bit there
That's great
too.
to hear.
Yeah, I could go down a list.
Oh, I'm sure. Just
Yeah.
having those teachers hear their name, it just gives them a little extra pep in their step. As education is not an easy world to work in, and having them get that little pep, I'm sure helps them out as well. So I know that you've mentioned some of those educators that have made a positive impact on you, but who are some key people in your life, personal or professional, that really helped you break through and get to where you are? I'd say you've had to develop some resilience to get to where you are. So I know there's a special someone in your life that has helped you along the way.
Yep. So I don't think we mentioned this last time we talked about this, but
Yeah,
my father, one I think would be one. Just his work ethic, I think is where I get my brother's the same way, where we just work too much. But I think that we just love what we do, right? And so I think that helped. And then obviously my grandfather would be another one. I had a professor ask me the same question of how did you like I moved out when I was 16. Me and my mom did not get along. We do now, but it was rough. And what influence in your life helped you get here? And I think my grandfather during that time, he was one I could talk about academic stuff. We would talk all day about his JFK theories or what Muskegon used to be and all of those things.
yeah.
And I think that love for history helped me dig deeper into academics.
That's awesome. There's always those special someones to get you through some tough times in your life, and I'm sure your father and your grandfather will hear this and really appreciate the accolades because you just don't know that. As you've got kids yourself, as do I, and you're doing the best you can. Do they really notice? So
Right. Yeah.
that's awesome. So what as we start to close today, and I'm thinking about the audience and the purpose of this, and so we're really trying to get people to understand some successful graduates that have meaningful careers. They have found success in life, both personally and professionally. What we're going to call this section of the podcast, the diary of a successful graduate. And so I told you to prepare a question for one of our future podcast guests. And what question do you think I should ask to meet some of those goals of what I've mentioned for this podcast? What question do you think I should ask in the diary of a successful graduate?
I thought about this a little bit harder this time. And I
Okay.
think something that would be helpful for our listeners would be to ask what would they have changed along the way? What would they have done differently that might have helped them? Just reflections, right? Of looking back.
Awesome. Well, I will put that in the diary, and one of our future guests will get that question. So, as we close, I told you to prepare some rapid fire favorite things. And so, this is just to get to know you as a person, Carla, because some of our listeners might not know you. When they see you out and about in the community, they can mention some of your favorite things, and maybe they'll share the same with you. So, what is one of your favorite ways to unwind or relax after a long day?
So I have bruises everywhere because I like to do jujitsu.
Yep.
It helps me get the stress out. And then I run. So I run, my long run, I say, is on Sundays, and then I run every day. But that helps me kind of refresh, I see it as, for the week and get ready.
Awesome. Awesome. And I do see the bruises, so I can vouch for the jujitsu. So, favorite childhood memory?
Oh, favorite one. You know what? When I was younger, I have a really big family. My mom has 75 cousins. And so we used to go to a cabin on the river and we would all just kind of have a family reunion once a summer, and we had this pot where everybody would just bring something and throw it in the pot because that's how my great grandma used to cook, and we would have this pot that nobody ate, but it was really fun just to make something random.
Well, it made it, one of your favorite childhood memories, so it
Yeah,
must have
yeah,
been one of those cool things.
yep.
All right. Was there a name for the pot?
I don't remember it. My grandfather could probably tell you though.
Gotcha, gotcha. I
I'll
thought there
ask.
might be some special name for that thing. So, favorite song or piece of music that resonates with you? Anything that comes to mind?
I don't know if I have a favorite song, but a certain like genre. Growing up with my father, he's a singer. If anybody knows him, they know that. And
Okay.
CCR and those type of things is what he would sing. And so sometimes when it's nice out, I'll listen to that, and it just reminds me of being a kid running around barefoot in the yard.
Oh, that's awesome. That's well, it reached a level in your mind on a podcast, so it must have meant
Yep.
something very positive to you. So, all right, what's one more here? What is a favorite vision you have for your future?
Favorite vision?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. I
20
think
years from now, 5 years from now, just somewhere out in the future.
I feel like a vision that I have, I think it's more of the impact that I will make, not more about what I want. You know what I mean? So my vision would be more of to have an impact where what we're doing here at Oakridge spreads and other schools kind of come in and ask us what we're doing and help replicate all this impact that we're having across the county.
Awesome. Well, Carla, thank you so much for being a first guest on the What's Your Future podcast. Our purpose is to celebrate our graduates who found personal career success, expand career awareness opportunities with you, it's the world of psychology, and to increase the understanding of the success that public schools have. And I think we've accomplished that today. So thank you for being a guest.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Have a great day, everyone. And if you would please press subscribe or like, and so that we can spread the news of the success Oakridge graduates are having on What's Your Future podcast here at Oakridge Public Schools. Have a great day, everyone.